Well, let's get right to it because I know your time is very valuable and limited. So, uh, this is just a basic question. What's your reaction to what happened in Alaska?
So we have three parties here, and let's see what each party has gotten out of this. Putin wanted to escape sanctions. He achieved his goals. Wanted to have a trip to American soil. He achieved his goal. Wanted not to end the war. He achieved his goal. Trump wanted to look Putin in the eye. Done. Wanted to have a ceasefire. Not done. Um, Wanted to have pictures and make a good post on X. Probably also done. Ukraine wanted to have ceasefire. No. Wanted to the ball not to be in our court again with accusations that we are standing in the way of peace. Also not done, and actually it's something that perhaps can happen, and this is why it's a huge risk for us. So all in all, it was a big nothing. However, it ended up not so good for Ukraine. And right now, we are all obviously worried about how it will go with President Zelensky in Washington, D.C., kindly with all the warmth, reminding that previous meeting didn't go so well.
Yeah, how concerned are you that Vladimir Putin might have influenced Trump in some way and he is going to be delivering the next time he meets with President Zelensky? He will basically be carrying the Kremlin's message.
Uh, what we like 80% sure of is that Putin's position didn't change since 2022. In fact, their position didn't change since 1991. They are rebuilding Soviet Union, and I think if anybody had any questions about it, they have received confirmation in so many levels of it. So Putin just said he is standing on his position, which is they have included our territories into their constitution. They are not backing off. They are ready for a land swap, but they are not ready to go away. And there are some limitations they want to put on Ukraine. This is not acceptable for Ukraine, and that's why President Zelensky's job on Monday will be super hard. Because after meeting with Putin, Trump will say, okay, this one wouldn't bend. Then let's put pressure to President Zelensky. The issue that we see is, as of right now, Ukraine has been perfect, right? We have done everything by the book. After the spat in the Oval Office, after we understood that that being straightforward doesn't work with President Trump and trying to explain to him things, so Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire unconditionally, and we have voted the rare minerals deal in Ukrainian Parliament. No questions asked. Basically, we just went ahead and did it. So we thought that being so accommodative and so good will be our plus right now. It may be our minus because President Trump knows that if he pressures enough, we may break. And President Zelensky needs not to break.
And what happens if President Trump, presents to President Zelensky something that would be absolutely unacceptable to the Ukrainian people? And where do we go from there? What happens after that?
So we need to prepare so this would not be this like worst case scenario. So President Zelensky needs to go there with the support of our European partners, and
Mm.
he needs to ideally he doesn't need to sit at the table with Putin and Trump. He needs to have it like at least four people there, like somebody else. I don't know, President Macron, Keir Starmer, whoever, Ursula von der Leyen.
Mark Rutte.
Mark Rutte will be a bad thing because it's he's representing NATO, and President Trump already said that even if it will be NATO, it will not be called NATO because it's triggering Putin. You know what is triggering us? That it was a red carpet to a war criminal. And when I was watching it, honestly, I have seen all the faces of people whom we lost over the last 3.5 years. And I was just thinking how unfair it is to all the people of Ukraine, giving him such a wonderful and warm welcome. And again, I think it will play very badly for America, because right now all the other authoritarian dictators of the world are watching that and saying, so it's possible to go ahead, commit all kinds of the war crimes and get away with it, and then probably we will be invited onto American soil to shake hands and walk the red carpet. But coming back to the meeting, so the issue that President Zelensky will be facing is that we need United States on board, but there is not too much stuff that President Zelensky can sell inside the country. This is the big difference between the United States, Russia, and Ukraine. In the United States, not too many people care enough about Ukraine to really protest. Though I really thank to all Alaskans who stood up in front of Russian and American delegation. In Russia, people don't care whatever President Putin or dictator Putin will decide. And in Ukraine, you have seen that people were protesting when they felt that anti-corruption organs were offended and tried to be stripped of their independence. So imagine what they will do if there would be something that we will feel is unfair deal or a bad deal or something that President Zelensky was not supposed to do. And this is, I think, one of the goals that Putin has. But on the other hand, and this is what I'm telling today to everyone, we are the same people who in 2022 declined the offer to capitulate. And we are fighting, we are not alone, we are exhausted, but we are not people who will accept the defeat right now because somebody said so, especially if those are, one is international criminal and another person didn't even come to Ukraine beforehand. So I think right now it puts President Zelensky into a pretty tough spot, and we all wish him wisdom and self-control on the meeting on Monday, because it will be indeed a very complicated situation. I also think he needs to go ahead and talk to people honestly on one of his addresses, explaining what the offers are on the table and where are his red lines, what he will take or not take. That will at least prepare people for what's coming.
One last question before I let you go is, God forbid, this creates a rift between the Trump administration and Ukraine, with now it would be, in essence, Trump and Putin. If the U.S. abandons Ukraine, or if the presentation or the requests that the United States makes are unacceptable to Ukraine, this creates a rift. What are your concerns about that happening, and what would that mean for Ukraine moving forward?
So our main concern is, of course, political support, and that there are many decisions in NATO made still by the United States, and many types and kinds of weapons that are being provided because of the silent or loud nod from the United States. We want to hope that European partners will step up and will be able to cover on some of the gaps that will appear. It will be very hard for us. But again, choosing between hard situation and capitulation, we would not choose capitulation, because the history is looking at us. All people who are fighting are looking at us. You can imagine how many calls are received this morning asking what's going on, and are they all crazy, and don't they know anything about Ukrainian people? I didn't hear anyone who would say, Trump probably sold us, so let's capitulate. None. So I truly believe in Ukrainian people, though I'm very concerned about American diplomacy.
As I have always said, it is not only Moscow that needs to learn the lesson that Ukraine is no longer a colony and is a sovereign state, but it is also Brussels and London and Washington that must recognize that the time of colonization is over. Ukraine has a bright future because Ukraine is sovereign.
Yes, we are democracy, so observe us with the democratic procedures.
I hope only the best for you, Kira Rudik. It is always a true pleasure to speak to you. And one of these days down the road, we must have you back in the studio for an extended period of time and a more in-depth discussion. But I appreciate hearing your reaction to what happened in Alaska. Thank you.